In today's video, we're going to be talking about the why of good nutrition. So stick around, we'll be right back. Hey guys, Keith here from Healthier Point of View, where together we are working to help each other become the healthier people that we want to be. And with that being said, if you guys are enjoying these videos, please don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. That will help me out tremendously and it will help us continue to grow this community of healthier people. Now with that being said, let's get into today's subject matter. Now we're going to start on this topic of nutrition, but instead of jumping right into the food sources that we eat, let's talk about the body. Let's start with the body and what the body is and how it operates. Just a little bit, not a super long video, but just enough to understand and kind of wrap our arms around this basic understanding so that going forward, we see what it means to put good food into our systems. So the first thing, the first principle or the first idea that I need us to understand is this. And you're gonna like this. The first one, we are all organic living structures. That's right, I said organic. Now don't be afraid. Let's take this one step at a time. What does organic mean? All organic means is this, that you and I don't have anything fake in us. Organic means there's nothing man-made inside of us. What it means is that we're all natural, that we are living, breathing tissue that requires a certain living element to feed it. That's all that means. And the more organic the sources of food that we can put in us, the better it is for our bodies going forward. Now, I know that's scary for some folks, and that's okay because, well, I know that there's a lot of, well, the organic industry is this and the organic industry is that. Well, quite honestly, we need it. We really do. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, I want to talk about, number one, the main part of our digestive system, which is the stomach and the intestinal tract. First, did you know that 75% of your immune system resides in your stomach? That's right, 75%. So it just goes to show good food in, good results coming out of the body. Most bodybuilders now will even tell you that working out and dieting, well, it's like 80-20, 80% nutrition, 20% working out. So keep that in mind as we go forward. Nutrition is huge. Digestion is huge. And the other thing I want us to understand about the body is that as we eat food, the whole process of digestion is assimilation. We assimilate the minerals and the vitamins and the good nutrients that come from plant-based material. Even if you eat meat, you're still absorbing some of the amino acids from the proteins and the protein that comes from some meat products. Now, I'm not advocating for veganism or vegetarianism or any kind of specific diet because I'm not a vegetarian. I do eat a little bit of meat every now and then. I do enjoy a good piece of chicken breast once in a while. With that being said, I do believe in a more plant-based diet. If I would give it a ratio, I would say 80-20, 80% plant-based, 20% meat products, whatever that is, that's up to you. So with that being said, let me just share this. You assimilate the foods that you eat. Now again, beginning with what we started with, organic, living, nothing fake. Everything is real. So it tends to say that if we take in products that aren't real, like artificial sweeteners, artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners, flavorings, colorings, artificial colorings, food that's been sprayed with chemical pesticides and chemical fertilizers, or meat products that have been injected with antibiotics or or steroids to help them grow, anything that's synthetic or not man-made. So it just goes to show that if you eat those types of things over a long period of time, the body can't assimilate that. And that's where disease kicks in, because it's hard for it to push out of the body. Remember in the early 2000s, the buzzword was detoxing. Did you do a colon cleanse? That kind of stuff. Well, that's important. It really is, to eliminate the toxins that we keep putting into our bodies. So it just goes to show real food in your body will then work the way it's supposed to work. But when we put things in that don't digest well, or don't assimilate well, or don't assimilate at all, it causes blockages. And then you end up with disease. Things like leaky gut syndrome, brain fog, inflammation, arthritis, irritable bowel syndrome, colitis. Things that, these are issues where the body just cannot eliminate properly the waste that needs to come out of its system. So that's why it's so important to understand that what goes in is assimilated and what comes out can come out, right? I mean, that's kind of just a basic understanding. So the number one principle is we are organic living structures that require the best possible organic food we can put in it. Secondly, the second thing I want to talk about is pH balance. Now that's so important because pH balance helps us. It's what is inside of us. That's again, I remember I said that the immune system resides in the gut. Well, the pH balance within the gut is what helps keep the body balanced. If it's not balanced, we have illness. Now, here's a perfect illustration. It was something I wrote about a couple of years ago in a blog where I compared a pool, like a backyard pool, a fish tank, and a farmer, and how a farmer tills the ground, and our bodies. Now, a couple of quick facts here, right? Our bodies, by body weight, are 60% water. Okay? Important. You notice lately in grocery stores and over the last few years where people are more and more gravitating towards alkalinized water, pH balanced water, to help regulate the pH balance in the system. Well, that's one way of doing it, but there are other ways, like eating deep green leafy greens that helps balance your body. Because what you do when you do that is this: your intestinal tract, your stomach is full of microbiome. They're called probiotics, right? You can take probiotics to help your gut system. It's all about getting the microbiome within the stomach balanced. That bacteria, that good bacteria, is what's necessary to help break down the food that you eat and get your body healthy. So pH is so important. So water, right? We got to balance pH balance with water. Second, earth, the ground. There's a connection there. Now, I said pool, fish tank, ground. Let's compare all three of them. What happens to a fish tank if a fish tank is not balanced, right? If the water's not balanced, if the filters aren't cleaned, if you're not using the right chemicals in the water for the fish tank, what happens? Well, algae starts to grow on the walls. Same principle when you have a pool in your backyard. If you don't balance out the chemicals in the water with acid and chlorine, acidic, alkaline, if you don't balance that, guess what happens in the pool? Algae starts growing in the water. Same exact principle in our bodies. When we don't have balance, we have disease. We end up with a flu, a bug, is basically what that means. Now you say, well, what about the farmer? Well, if you go into any big box hardware store, you can go to the pool section and find a pH test kit. You can go into the gardening section and find a pH test kit. Why? Because the soil needs to have proper pH balance in order for the ground to yield its best crops. That's where fertilizers come in. Now I'm not talking about chemical fertilizers, I'm talking about good fertilizers, good cow manure or chicken feces or things of that nature, good natural lime sources to help nurture the ground and bring up an organic product. A lot of people use compost, right? Same principle. If the ground isn't pH balanced, it won't yield a proper crop. It's the same thing with us. All of this is connected. One other cool fact, right? One other cool little tidbit here is that our body makeup is almost identical to common topsoil. Let me break it down like this. Oxygen in common topsoil in our bodies, right? We are made up of 65% oxygen, 18% carbon, and 10% hydrogen. Now those are the three main elements. And everyone's going to say, well, that's in everything. Yes, it is. But between our bodies and common topsoil, there are 59 lesser elements, and they're all the same. Varying degrees, but they're all the same. So now you can kind of get an idea of why it's so good to eat a product grown out of the ground in vegetables and fruits, nuts and seeds, and eat that organically. Eat it in its truest form. Because when you eat those foods, it's balanced. When you put it in your body, it helps your body. Same thing with drinking water. Hydration is huge. Remember, we are 60% water per body weight. So we've got to have proper hydration. So those are just a couple of things, just some fundamental understandings of how our systems work. And if we can kind of wrap our head around that, we can then begin to understand why putting in the right foods matter. Now, it can vary from person to person. I'm not going to argue that. But the main factor in almost every diet I've ever read, other than the Atkins, which is all meat-based, you need a good balance of plants and nuts and seeds and whole grains that are organic and not GMO, that are real living entities that you can put into this body that will help you grow. Okay, guys, so with that being said, think about those couple of little fundamental foundational principles. We're organic, living beings, and we have so much in common with what comes out of the earth and what we drink. And until next week, have a healthier point of view. Peace.